Maya Chen loved watching the aliens walk through Nexus Station. The 12-year-old girl pressed her face against the observation window, her dark eyes wide with wonder. She watched a tall Quellan diplomat float past, his tentacles rippling in the artificial gravity. Behind him, a group of insect-like Vexari clicked and chirped to each other. The station was beautiful. Lights glowed in colors Maya had never seen on Earth. Aliens from dozens of worlds walked, slithered, and floated through the massive corridors. Some were tall as trees, others were small as cats. Maya thought it was the most amazing place in the universe. "Maya, don't wander too far," Ambassador Sarah Okonkwo called from behind her. Maya turned and smiled at her guardian. Sarah had taken care of her for 2 years now, ever since the accident on Colony 7. Maya tried not to think about her parents too much. "It still hurt." "I won't, Sarah, I promise," Maya said. The ambassador smiled back, but worry showed in her eyes. "Stay in the human section, please. The Kryn delegation is here, and they're not in a good mood." Maya nodded, but her attention was already somewhere else. A holographic display near the corridor showed a spinning planet with 3 moons. It was so pretty. She walked toward it, forgetting Sarah's warning. The hologram showed information in dozens of languages. Maya reached out to touch it, and the display changed. Now it showed a star map. She giggled and touched it again. She was so focused on the display that she didn't see the large figure approaching from the side corridor. Maya stepped backward to see the hologram better. She bumped into something hard. "Watch where you walk, human whelp." Maya spun around and looked up and up. The alien was huge, at least 7 feet tall. His skin was dark blue with ridge patterns running down his face. He wore black armor with red markings. His eyes were golden and angry. "I'm sorry, sir," Maya said quickly. Her heart started beating fast. She knew this was a Kryn. Sarah had told her about them. They were warriors, proud, dangerous. The Kryn commander looked down at her. His face showed disgust. Behind him, 3 other Kryn warriors stood watching. "You are the problem with humans," the commander said. His voice was deep and cold. "No discipline, no respect. You walk through the galaxy like children, touching everything, bothering your betters." Maya took a step back. "I didn't mean to bump into you. I'm really sorry." "Sorry?" The commander's golden eyes narrowed. "On my world, such clumsiness is punished. Perhaps you need to learn proper behavior." "Commander Zarthek, she is just a child," one of the other Kryn said quietly. Zarthek turned his head sharply. "Silence. I will not be questioned by subordinates, and I will not tolerate disrespect from primitives." He looked back at Maya. The girl was scared now. She wanted to run, but her feet felt frozen. "Let this be a lesson," Zarthek said. His hand moved faster than Maya could see. The backhand strike hit her across the face and shoulder. The force lifted her off her feet. She flew backward through the air. Maya's small body crashed into the metal bulkhead. The impact made a horrible sound. She crumpled to the floor and didn't move. Blood pooled under her head. Her left arm was bent at a wrong angle. She made a small gasping sound, then went silent. For a moment, nobody moved. The busy corridor went completely quiet. Aliens of a dozen species stopped and stared. One of the Kryn warriors behind Zarthek made a sound of shock. "Commander, she is unconscious. You may have killed her." Zarthek looked at Maya's broken body. He showed no emotion. "If she dies from such a light strike, humans are even weaker than I thought. She bumped into me and showed no proper respect. In Kryn space, such behavior would warrant worse punishment." "She is a child," another Kryn whispered. "Then her guardian should teach her better," Zarthek said. He straightened his armor. "Come, we have business to attend to." He walked away, stepping around Maya's body like she was garbage on the floor. His warriors followed, but 2 of them kept looking back. Their faces showed something that might have been shame. The corridor exploded into action. Aliens rushed toward Maya. A Quellan medic reached her first, his tentacles carefully checking her injuries. "Medical emergency. Central Plaza, Section 7. Human child, critical condition," he shouted into his communicator. Ambassador Okonkwo came running. She had heard the commotion. When she saw Maya lying in blood, her face went pale. "No, no, no, no," Sarah whispered. She fell to her knees beside Maya. "Baby, can you hear me?" Maya's eyes fluttered but didn't open. Blood ran from her nose and mouth. The medical team arrived with a floating stretcher. They carefully lifted Maya onto it. The Quellan doctor looked at Sarah with sad eyes. Broken arm, at least 3 broken ribs, severe head trauma. and internal bleeding. We need to get her to surgery now. Sarah stood up slowly. Her hands were covered in Maya's blood. She watched the medical team rush away with the stretcher. Then she turned and looked at the security camera mounted on the wall. She knew it had recorded everything. Station Director Velthas came running, his tentacles waving in distress. Ambassador Okonkwo, I saw what happened on the security feed. This is terrible. I am so sorry. We will launch an immediate investigation. Where is Commander Zarthek? Sarah's voice was quiet. Too quiet. He returned to the Kryn quarters. Ambassador, I understand you are upset, but we must handle this through proper diplomatic channels. The Kryn Empire is powerful and... Get me a secure communication line to Earth Command, Sarah said. She was still looking at the camera. Now, Velthas hesitated. Ambassador, perhaps we should wait until the child is stable. We should not escalate this situation. Sarah finally looked at him. The director took a step back. He had never seen human eyes look so cold. Director Velthas, a Kryn commander, just assaulted a 12-year-old human child on a neutral station. He broke her bones and left her bleeding on the floor. And he walked away like it meant nothing. Sarah's voice was still quiet, but it cut like a knife. I will have my communication line. I will send my report. And then we will see what happens next. She walked toward the communication center. Aliens moved out of her way. In the surgical bay, doctors worked desperately to save Maya's life. Her small body lay on the table, surrounded by machines and medical staff from 3 different species. In the Kryn quarters, Commander Zarthek poured himself a drink. He told his officers about the negotiations, about human weakness, about Kryn superiority. He didn't mention the child. She wasn't important enough to remember. Outside his window, a tiny drone hovered. It was smaller than a dust particle, invisible to normal sensors. It watched Zarthek through the window. It recorded everything. In the communication center, Ambassador Okonkwo sat alone in a secure booth. She typed her report with steady hands. She attached the security video. She added Maya's medical scans. Her message to Earth Command was short. Incident report attached. Maya Chen, civilian, age 12. Assault by Kryn Commander Zarthek. Critical injuries. Request appropriate response. She hit send and leaned back in her chair. Then for the first time her hands started shaking. Sarah put her face in her bloody hands and cried. The message traveled through quantum communication relays. It reached Earth in minutes. It was marked urgent and sent directly to Special Operations Command. In a dark office in Geneva, an officer read the report. He watched the video of Maya being struck, flying through the air, hitting the wall. He saw her blood on the floor. He picked up his phone and made one call. Ghost Division, we have a situation. On Nexus Station, the night cycle began. Lights dimmed. Most of the aliens went to their quarters to sleep. In surgery, Maya's heart stopped twice. Both times, the doctors brought her back. In the Kryn quarters, Zarthek slept soundly, confident in his power and his empire's strength. He didn't know that. Invisible eyes watched him sleep. He didn't know that. Decisions were being made, light years away. He didn't know that he had just made the worst mistake of his life. The station's systems registered no unusual activity. Security showed nothing strange. Everything appeared normal. But in the darkness between the walls, in the spaces where sensors couldn't see, shadows moved with purpose. Ghost Division had arrived. The surgery took 6 hours. Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked without stopping, her hands steady as she repaired the damage to Maya's small body. Around her, medical staff from 3 different worlds worked together. Heart rate stabilizing, a Quellan nurse reported. Good. Let's fix this rib before it punctures her lung, Dr. Tanaka said. Sweat ran down her face, but she didn't stop to wipe it away. Outside the surgery room, Ambassador Okonkwo sat in a chair. She hadn't moved in 5 hours. Her clothes were still stained with Maya's blood. Other diplomats had come to check on her to offer support, but Sarah barely noticed them. Station Director Velthas approached carefully. Ambassador, I have spoken with Commander Zarthek. He refuses to apologize. He says the incident was the child's fault for showing disrespect. Sarah didn't look at him. I see. I have contacted the Galactic Council. They are discussing possible actions. Perhaps a formal reprimand, or has Earth responded to my message? Sarah asked. No. There has been no official response from Earth Command. No messages, no ship movements, nothing. Velthus sounded confused. This is unusual. I expected protests, demands, perhaps even a show of military force. Sarah finally looked at him. A small, cold smile appeared on her face. The silence worries you. Yes. The humans are never this quiet. When the Vexari killed those colonists 3 years ago, your fleet was at their border within a day. But now nothing. It is strange. Maybe we decided it's not worth the trouble, Sarah said. But her smile said something different. Velthus left, feeling more worried than before. In another part of the station, alien ambassadors were having similar conversations. The Quellan ambassador spoke to his Vexari counterpart in hushed tones. The humans have gone silent. No threats, no demands, no warships. What does it mean? The Vexari clicked his mandibles nervously. I do not know. But I have studied human history. They are most dangerous when they are quiet. When they are loud and angry, they are predictable. When they are silent, he didn't finish the sentence. A passing diplomat from the Thex Confederation overheard them. You're worried about nothing. The humans are weak. Everyone knows this. They've only been in space for a few decades. The Kryn Empire has existed for thousands of years. The Quellan ambassador tentacles curled in disagreement. The humans fought a war against the Syndicate and won. They lost 3 colonies but destroyed an empire that had ruled for 2,000 years. In 6 months, lucky victories, the Thex diplomat said, but he sounded less certain. In the Kryn quarters, Commander Zarthek was celebrating. His officers sat around him drinking and talking. Most of them looked uncomfortable. The negotiations will go better tomorrow, Zarthek said. The humans needed to be reminded of their place. Now they know we will not tolerate their casual behavior. Young Officer Zalthor spoke carefully. Commander, the child was seriously injured. Perhaps an apology would apologize? Zarthek's voice rose. To humans, never. I will not lower myself. The child bumped into me and showed no respect. I administered appropriate discipline. If human children are too weak to survive proper correction, that is not my concern. The other officers said nothing. They exchanged worried glances but stayed silent. Besides, Zarthek continued, look at the human response. Nothing. No protests, no threats, no action. They know they cannot challenge the Kryn Empire. They are accepting their place in the Galactic Order. Outside, in the maintenance tunnel that ran behind the Kryn quarters, something moved. It made no sound. It triggered no sensors. If anyone had been watching very carefully, they might have seen a shimmer in the air like heat rising from hot ground. But no one was watching. The shimmer moved along the wall. It stopped outside Zarthek's personal chamber. Through the wall, impossible as it seemed, it watched. It listened. It recorded. Inside an encrypted communication device smaller than a fingernail, a voice whispered. Target confirmed. Commander Zarthek, Kryn military officer assigned to Nexus Station. Current location marked. Awaiting orders. The response came instantly. Orders confirmed. Execute Protocol 7, no casualties. Send the message. Understood, Ghost Actual. Beginning operation. More shimmers appeared in different parts of the Kryn section. They moved through solid walls as if the walls weren't there. Advanced stealth technology that made users nearly invisible and mostly intangible. Earth's greatest secret. Developed in hidden laboratories and tested in 100 shadow wars. The Ghost Division operators moved with perfect coordination. They had trained for years for missions like this. Each one was a specialist. Each one was deadly, and each one was completely invisible to the station's sensors. In the surgical bay, Dr. Tanaka finally stepped back from the operating table. She's stable. She'll live. Ambassador Okonkwo stood up so fast her chair fell over. Can I see her? Give us 10 minutes to move her to recovery. Then yes. Dr. Tanaka pulled off her surgical gloves. She was very lucky, Ambassador. Another inch to the left and that strike would have killed her instantly. As it is, she has a broken arm, 3 cracked ribs, a concussion, and internal bruising. She'll need months of physical therapy. But she'll recover fully? Yes, children are resilient. Dr. Tanaka paused. Ambassador, I've been a doctor for 20 years. I've seen combat wounds, accidents, all kinds of injuries. But this? A grown warrior deliberately striking a child? It makes me sick, Sarah nodded. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were hard. Don't worry, doctor. It makes a lot of people sick. 15 minutes later, Sarah sat beside Maya's bed. The girl was still unconscious, her small face pale against the white pillow. Bandages covered her head. Her left arm was in a cast. Machines beeped softly, monitoring her vital signs. Sarah took Maya's small hand carefully. "I'm here, baby. You're safe now. I promise you're safe," a nurse approached. "Ambassador, you should rest. We'll call you if there's any change. I'm not leaving her." The nurse nodded and left. Sarah sat there in the quiet room, holding Maya's hand. She didn't notice when her personal communicator buzzed with a new message. When she finally checked it, there was a single line of text from an unknown sender. "Justice will be delivered." Sarah read it twice. Then she deleted it and put the communicator away. She looked at Maya's sleeping face and whispered, "Sleep well, little one. When you wake up, things will be different." The station's night cycle continued. Most people slept. Security officers walked their normal routes. Everything appeared peaceful. But in the Kryn quarters, Ghost Division was working. They moved through Zarthek's chambers like ghosts. They scanned everything. His armor, his weapons, his personal items, his ceremonial dress. They took detailed three-dimensional scans of every object. One operator stood in Zarthek's bedroom, watching the commander sleep. The Kryn snored loudly, completely unaware that a human stood 3 feet away. "All scans complete," the operator whispered into his communicator. "Ready for extraction." "Negative," came the response. "New orders. Fabricate the items here. We need them perfect." In a hidden part of the station, in a maintenance bay that station records said was empty, a Ghost Division fabricator began working. Using the scans, it started creating perfect copies of Zarthek's armor and personal items. The fabricator used matter assembly technology that was decades ahead of anything else in the galaxy. Piece by piece, the armor took shape. Every scratch, every worn spot, every detail was perfectly copied. The Kryn family crest was recreated at the molecular level. Even the smell of the metal was matched. It took 18 hours. During that time, Ghost Division operators watched Zarthek constantly. They tracked his every movement. They monitored his communications. They knew what he ate for breakfast, what he said to his officers, even what he dreamed about. And Zarthek never knew they were there. 24 hours after Maya was struck, the fabrication was complete. The armor sat in the hidden bay, perfect in every detail. Next to it lay Zarthek's weapons, his rank insignias, and his family medallion. All perfect copies. A Ghost Division ship approached the station. It was small and dark, designed to be invisible. Station sensors showed nothing unusual. Security saw nothing. But the ship was there, holding position just outside the Kryn docking bay. Captain James Mitchell stood on the ship's small bridge. He looked at the display showing Maya's medical status. The girl was alive but still unconscious. Mitchell had a daughter her age back on Earth. "Cargo is loaded, sir," his second-in-command reported. "Good. Execute delivery. Make sure everyone sees it. This message needs to be clear." "Yes, sir." The cargo bay doors opened. A single container drifted out into space, moving toward the station's central plaza. It was marked with Kryn symbols and one word in a dozen languages. "Return." On the station, alarms began to sound. Unknown object approaching. "All security teams to the central plaza." Commander Zarthek was in a meeting when the alarms went off. He stood up, annoyed. "What now?" His communicator buzzed. "Commander, there's a container heading for the plaza. It has Kryn markings," Zarthek frowned. "I didn't order any deliveries. Bring it to the docking bay for inspection." "Sir, it's heading for the main plaza. Everyone will see it, then intercept it." "We're trying, sir, but our tractor beams can't lock on. It's like the container doesn't want to be stopped." Zarthek's frown deepened. He headed toward the plaza. Behind him, his officers followed. Inside the container, laid out with perfect care, was Commander Zarthek's armor. Every piece was there. The chest plate with its red markings, the shoulder guards that showed his rank, the arm pieces, the leg plates, the helmet, all of it polished and clean, arranged like a museum display. Next to the armor lay his weapons, his ceremonial blade, his plasma pistol, his shock baton, all cleaned and maintained, and there, centered on the chest plate, was his family crest medallion. The ancient symbol of the House of Zarthek passed down through 20 generations. The crowd stared in confusion. Then one by one they looked at Commander Zarthek. He was wearing his armor. The same armor that was in the container. Zarthek's hand moved to his chest plate, touching the metal. It was real. He was wearing it. He could feel the weight of it. But how could his armor be in two places at once? Young Officer Zalthor was the first to understand. His face went pale. "Commander," he whispered. "They took it. The humans took everything. They scanned it all and made copies." "That's impossible," Zarthek said, but his voice shook. "The quarters are protected by Kryn military security. No one could get inside without triggering alarms." "Apparently someone could," said a Quellan diplomat. His voice was quiet with fear. Zarthek looked around the plaza. Dozens of aliens stared at him. Some looked confused. Others looked frightened. A few looked like they understood exactly what had happened. "They were in your rooms," Zalthor continued, "while you slept, while you dressed, while you worked. They watched you. They scanned everything you own, and you never knew." The implications hit everyone at once. If the humans could get into Kryn military quarters without detection, they could get anywhere. If they could scan and replicate Kryn armor perfectly, they had technology far beyond what anyone knew. If they could do all this in less than 24 hours, they were not the weak newcomers everyone thought they were, and most terrifying of all. If they could do all this, they could have killed Commander Zarthek at any time, but they chose not to. Zarthek's hand shook as he reached into the container. There was a small data chip on top of the helmet. He picked it up and inserted it into his wrist computer. A message appeared. It was written in Kryn language, perfectly translated with all the proper formal grammar. "We could have taken you. We took your honor instead. The child lives. You should be grateful we value her life more than your death. This is your only warning. Touch another human child and next time we will not be so merciful." The message was signed with a simple symbol. A ghost. Zarthek's legs felt weak. He stumbled backward. One of his officers caught him. "Commander, we need to leave," Zalthor said urgently. "We need to get back to the homeworld. This station is not safe." Around them, the crowd was talking. Voices rose in excitement and fear. "Did you hear? The humans have ghost soldiers. They can walk through walls. They can become invisible. They could be here right now watching us." That last comment made everyone look around nervously. Station Director Veltas arrived, his tentacles waving frantically. "Everyone, please remain calm. There is no danger. The situation is under control." "Under control?" A Vixari ambassador stepped forward. "Director, the humans just demonstrated they can breach military-grade security without leaving a trace. They can fabricate perfect copies of unique items in hours, and they did it all without your security systems detecting anything. How exactly is this under control?" Veltas had no answer. Ambassador Okonkwo walked into the plaza. The crowd parted for her. She looked calm, almost relaxed. She walked straight to the container and examined the armor. "Beautiful work," she said. "The humans who made this are true craftsmen." Zarthek looked at her with hatred and fear. "You did this. You sent assassins after me." "Assassins?" Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Commander, you're still alive. If we sent assassins, you wouldn't be standing here." She picked up the ceremonial blade from the container and examined it. "This is a message. You hurt a child under our protection. We could have killed you. We chose not to. Consider yourself lucky. This is an act of war." Zarthek shouted, "Is it?" Sarah put the blade back. "You struck a 12-year-old child and nearly killed her. She's currently in surgery because of you. What would you call that?" She showed disrespect. She accidentally bumped into you and you responded with violence. Against a child. An orphan." Sarah's voice stayed calm, but her eyes were cold. "In human culture, Commander, we have a saying. Mess with our children and discover why we're the galaxy's apex predators. You messed with one of our children. This is you discovering." The plaza was completely silent now. Everyone listened. Sarah looked around at all the assembled aliens. "Let me be clear to everyone here. Humans are peaceful. We prefer diplomacy and trade. We don't want war, but we protect our own, especially our children. Any species, any government, any individual who harms a human child will face consequences. Those consequences will be measured, precise, and impossible to defend against." She turned back to Zarthek. "You have two choices, Commander. You can apologize for what you did, accept your punishment, and we can move forward. Or you can continue to claim you did nothing wrong and we can escalate this. But let me warn you, if we escalate next time, we won't return your armor. We'll return you. In pieces." Zarthek's face showed rage but also fear. He wanted to shout, to attack, to prove Kryn's superiority. But he looked at the armor in the container. Perfect copies. Made in hours. Placed here without anyone noticing. If they could do that, what else could they do? I will not apologize to humans, he said. But his voice was quieter now. Then you leave me no choice. Sarah pulled out her communicator and spoke into it. This is Ambassador Okonkwo. Commander Zarthek has refused to apologize. Execute Protocol 9. Around the galaxy, on a dozen human worlds, military fleets received new orders. Warships that had been on routine patrol suddenly changed course. They headed toward Kryn space. It wasn't an invasion force. It was a message. A demonstration. On Nexus Station, every display screen suddenly showed the same thing, a map of Kryn space. And around that space, dozens of red dots appeared. Each dot was a human warship. As of this moment, Sarah announced, the Kryn Empire is under embargo. No human ships will enter Kryn space. No human goods will be sold to Kryn worlds. All trade agreements are suspended. All diplomatic relations are frozen. Gasps came from the crowd. The Kryn Empire was huge, but they relied on trade with other species. An embargo by humanity would hurt them badly. This will cost your people billions, Velthas whispered. Yes, Sarah agreed. It will cost us quite a lot. But Maya Chen is worth more than money. Zarthek stared at the screens. His empire surrounded by human warships. All because he struck a child. You cannot do this over one incident. Watch us, Sarah said simply. A Kryn officer pushed through the crowd. He was older than Zartek, with more decorations on his armor. Ambassador Okonkwo, I am General Craven. I speak with the authority of the Kryn High Council. This situation has gotten out of hand. Perhaps we can negotiate. There's nothing to negotiate, Sarah said. Not until Commander Zarthek apologizes to Maya Chen and accepts punishment for his actions. What punishment do you demand? That's for your people to decide. But if you do nothing, the embargo continues. And every day it continues, more and more species will see how the Kryn Empire treats children, and how it refuses to take responsibility for its actions. General Craven looked at Zarthek with disgust. You fool. You've brought shame to the entire empire. I did what was necessary to maintain discipline and respect. You assaulted a child. Craven's voice thundered through the plaza. There is no honor in that. There is no discipline in that. You acted like a bully and a coward. He turned to his officers. Arrest Commander Zarthek. He will be taken back to the homeworld to face trial. You cannot arrest me. I am a commander of the Kryn military. You are a commander, Craven said coldly. Now you are a disgrace. Guards, take him. Kryn soldiers moved forward. Zarthek tried to resist, but they were too many. They stripped him of his weapons and rank insignias. They took his family medallion from his chest. As they led him away, Zarthek shouted, This is not over. The Kryn Empire will not bow to humans. We will be quiet, Craven ordered. You have said enough. After Zarthek was gone, Craven approached Ambassador Okonkwo. On behalf of the Kryn Empire, I apologize for Commander Zarthek's actions. They do not represent our values or our honor. We will punish him appropriately. I appreciate that, General, but my answer remains the same. The embargo continues until he formally apologizes to Maya Chen. Not to me, not to humanity. To the child he hurt, Craven nodded slowly. I understand. I will make sure it happens. Then we have an understanding. The general left with his officers. The crowd began to disperse, everyone talking excitedly about what they had witnessed. Sarah stood alone by the container. She looked at the perfect copy of Zarthek's armor one more time. Then she walked toward the medical bay. She didn't notice the slight shimmer in the air near the wall. Didn't see the Ghost Division operator who had been watching the entire scene. Mission successful, the operator whispered into his communicator. Message delivered. Target neutralized without casualties. Returning to base. 3 days after the incident, Maya was awake and recovering. She sat in her hospital bed, her left arm in a cast, watching cartoons on a holoscreen. Dr. Tanaka had said she was healing faster than expected. Sarah visited every few hours, bringing books and treats. But she hadn't told Maya about what happened in the plaza. The girl didn't need to worry about galactic politics. She just needed to heal. On the 3rd day, someone unexpected came to visit. A young Kryn officer stood at the door to Maya's room. He was nervous, his golden eyes showing worry. He carried a small package wrapped in blue cloth. May I enter? He asked Sarah quietly. Sarah stood up, her body tense. Who are you? My name is Althor. I was there when Commander Zarthek struck the child. I tried to stop him, but he looked down. I failed. I should have done more. Sarah studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. You can come in, but if you upset her, you leave immediately. Zalthor entered slowly. Maya looked at him with wide, frightened eyes. She pressed back against her pillows. It's okay, Maya, Sarah said gently. This one is different. Zalthor stopped a few feet from the bed. He slowly knelt down, making himself lower than Maya. In Kryn culture, this was a sign of deep respect. Young one, my name is Zalthor. I came to apologize. I was there when you were hurt. I should have protected you. I failed in my duty as a warrior. For this, I am deeply sorry. Maya looked at him, then at Sarah, then back at him. You tried to stop him? Yes, but not hard enough. A true warrior protects the innocent. I spoke against what he did, but I should have done more. I should have stood between you and him no matter the cost. But he was your commander, Maya said softly. You would have been punished. Yes, but some things are worth being punished for. Protecting a child is one of them. Zalthor placed the blue package on the edge of her bed. This is a traditional Kryn healing gift. It is a crystal that glows with warmth. We give them to injured children to help them feel safe at night. Maya carefully unwrapped the package with her good hand. Inside was a beautiful crystal that glowed with soft blue light. When she touched it, it felt warm and comforting. It's beautiful, she whispered. Not as beautiful as your courage, Zalthor said. You survived something that would have broken many adults. You are stronger than you know. Tears ran down Maya's face, not from pain but from the kindness. After days of fear and hurt, someone was being gentle with her. Zalthor stood and turned to Sarah. Ambassador Commander Zarthek has been brought back to our homeworld. He faces trial for his actions. The High Council has ruled that he must come here and apologize to the child in person. He will arrive tomorrow. Sarah's expression was cold. Good. The embargo will continue until that apology is made. I understand. I also want you to know that many Kryn are ashamed of what happened. We are warriors, yes, but we are supposed to have honor. There is no honor in hurting children. Commander Zarthek forgot this. We will not forget again. After Zalthor left, Maya looked at Sarah. What's an embargo? Sarah sat down beside her bed. It means humans aren't trading with the Kryn Empire right now. We're not doing business with them until they make things right. Because of me. Because you're important. Because all children are important. And because people need to understand that there are consequences for hurting kids. Maya was quiet for a moment, holding the glowing crystal. Sarah, what happened to the commander? I heard some nurses talking about armor and ghosts, but I didn't understand. Sarah smiled. It was a scary smile. Let's just say that some very special human soldiers delivered a message. They showed the Kryn Empire that we can go anywhere, do anything, and they'll never see us coming. They did it to protect you, to make sure no one ever hurts you again. Ghost soldiers? Like in the stories. Exactly like in the stories. But these ones are real. Maya thought about this. Are they still here? Watching? Maybe, probably, but don't worry about them. They only hurt bad people who hurt children. You're safe. That night, Maya slept with the glowing crystal next to her pillow. She didn't have nightmares. Far away on the Kryn homeworld, High Chancellor Creven sat in his office reviewing reports. What he read made him feel cold inside. Human military capabilities were far beyond what anyone had estimated. The Ghost Division was real. They had technology that was decades, maybe centuries ahead of what other species possessed, and the Kryn Empire had made them angry. Chancellor, his aide said nervously, we have completed our analysis of the incident. The humans entered our most secure facility without triggering a single alarm. They replicated military equipment with perfect accuracy. They could have assassinated Commander Zarthek at any time. Instead, they chose to humiliate him. They sent a message, Creven said quietly. They wanted us to know what they could do. They wanted us to be afraid. Is it working? Yes. Creven looked out his window at the capital city below. If they can reach a commander on a neutral station, they can reach me in my office. They can reach any of us anywhere, and we would never know until they wanted us to know. What do? We learn, we adapt. And we never ever harm a human child again. Creven pulled up a file on his desk. It showed Maya's photo, her medical records, and the security footage of the attack. He had watched that footage 100 times. Each time it made him angrier. Commander Zarthek destroyed decades of diplomatic work in one moment of stupidity. He hurt a child and nearly started a war. Tomorrow he will apologize, and then he will face our justice. The next day, Nexus Station was crowded. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. Alien diplomats from dozens of species filled the main plaza. News crews from 100 worlds set up cameras. Commander Zarthek was brought in wearing prisoners' chains. His armor was gone. His rank insignias were gone. He wore simple gray clothes. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. Maya was brought to the plaza in a floating medical chair. She still couldn't walk well. Sarah stood beside her, one hand on her shoulder. The crowd fell silent as Zarthek was led to stand before the child. He looked at her and she looked back at him. The little girl in the chair and the warrior who had hurt her. General Creven spoke first. Commander Zarthek, you stand accused of assault against a child, abuse of power, and bringing dishonor to the Kryn Empire. Before you face further justice, you will apologize to the one you wronged. Speak. Zarthek stood silent for a moment. Pride still showed in his eyes. But so did fear. Finally he spoke. Maya Chen, I struck you in anger. I hurt you badly. This was wrong. There is no excuse for what I did. I apologize. The words were stiff, formal, forced. But they were spoken in front of hundreds of witnesses and cameras from across the galaxy. Maya looked at him. She was scared, but Sarah's hand on her shoulder gave her courage. Do you mean it? Maya asked. Her voice was small but clear. Zarthek looked surprised by the question. He started to give another formal answer, then stopped. He looked at this small human child, broken and bandaged because of him. He thought about the empty armor. He thought about how easily the humans could have killed him, and for the first time he felt real shame. Yes, he said quietly, I mean it. What I did was wrong. Unforgivable. You are a child. I should have protected you, not hurt you. I am truly sorry. This time the words sounded real. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, I forgive you. Gasps came from the crowd. The little girl, the victim, had just forgiven her attacker. It was unexpected. It was merciful. It was very human. Ambassador Okonkwo spoke into her communicator. This is Ambassador Okonkwo. The apology has been made and accepted. I recommend the embargo be lifted. Within hours, human ships began trading with Kryn worlds again. The crisis was over, but the message remained. The galaxy had learned something important about humanity. They were peaceful, yes. They preferred diplomacy and trade. But harm their children and they would find you. They would get inside your walls, your security, your very home. They would show you how helpless you were. And then they would give you one chance to make things right. Only one chance. Later that day, Maya was back in her hospital room. Sarah sat with her reading a story. Sarah? Maya said. Why did I forgive him? He hurt me really bad. Sarah put down the book. Because you're better than he is. Because forgiveness is harder than hate. And because showing mercy is the strongest thing you can do. But he deserved to be punished, and he will be. The Kryn Empire will make sure of that. But your forgiveness? That freed you from carrying anger and fear. You showed him and everyone watching that humans can be both strong and kind. That we can get justice without losing our compassion. Maya thought about this. The ghost soldiers, they could have killed him. But they didn't. No, they didn't, because we're not monsters. We're protectors. I want to be like that when I grow up, strong and kind. A protector. Sarah smiled and hugged her gently. You already are, baby. You already are. Outside the station, a small dark ship prepared to leave. Inside, Captain Mitchell and his Ghost Division team made ready for their journey home. Mission complete. Mitchell reported. Target apologized. Embargo lifted. Child safe. 0 casualties. Good work, Captain. Earth Command is pleased. Your team performed perfectly. Mitchell looked at the photo of Maya on his screen one more time. The girl was smiling in it, taken before the attack. 6 months later, Maya walked through Nexus Station without fear. Her limp was almost gone. The doctors said in another few months you wouldn't be able to tell she'd ever been hurt. But the galaxy hadn't forgotten. The incident had changed things. Changed everything. Maya stopped at the new museum section. It had opened 3 months ago, and it was her favorite place on the station. The sign above the entrance read, Cultural Exchange and Understanding Gallery. Inside, displays showed artifacts and information from dozens of alien species. Humans, Kryn, Quellan, Vexari, and many others. Each display explained the culture, the values, the history, but the most popular exhibit was in the center of the main room. Protected by clear walls, sitting on a platform with special lighting, was Commander Zarthek's replica armor. The plaque beside it told the whole story. The attack, the response, the message, the apology. It ended with these words: a reminder that the strongest response is not always the deadliest, and that mercy requires greater strength than vengeance. Humanity demonstrated both power and restraint. May all species learn from this example. Maya stood looking at the armor. She came here often, not because it scared her, but because it reminded her that she was protected, that she mattered. It still looks strange, a voice said beside her. Maya turned and smiled. Hi, Zalthor. The young Kryn officer smiled back. He was a junior ambassador now, working to improve relations between the Kryn Empire and other species. He and Maya had become friends over the past months. I heard you helped design this museum, Zalthor said. Just a little. I suggested they include sections about children from different worlds. How different species raise their kids, what games they play, what they learn. Maya pointed to a display across the room.
Like that one.
Did you know that Quellan children can swim before they can walk? I did not know that. Fascinating. Zalthor looked at the armor display again. Maya, may I ask you something? Why did you forgive him? Commander Zarthek, I mean. After what he did, you could have demanded harsher punishment. Everyone would have supported you. Maya was quiet for a moment. My mom used to say something before she died. She said that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. If I stayed angry at him forever, it would only hurt me. That is very wise. Also, Maya added with a small smile, I figured the ghost soldiers scared him enough. He'll never hurt anyone again. Zalthor laughed. Yes, I think you are right. The story of the empty armor has spread to every Kryn world. Parents tell it to children who misbehave. Be kind to others or the human ghosts will come for you. Really? Really? You have become somewhat famous, Maya Chen. The child who changed the galaxy. Maya didn't feel famous. She just felt like herself. But she knew things had changed. After the incident, the Galactic Council had passed new laws protecting children of all species. Stricter rules about violence against minors, better reporting systems, education programs about treating children with respect. 3 species had established their first child protection services, modeled after human systems. Others were updating their laws. The Kryn Empire had gone through major cultural reforms. Come, Zalthor said. I want to show you something. He led her to a new section of the museum that had just opened. It showed recent changes in galactic society. New laws, new attitudes, new cooperation between species. Look at this. Zalthor pointed to a display. The Kryn Empire and the Vexari clans signed their first cooperation treaty. They were enemies for 200 years. Now they work together on child safety programs. Because of what happened to me? Maya asked. Because of what happened, yes, but also because of how humanity responded. You could have started a war. Instead, you sent a message that made everyone think differently. He looked at her seriously. You showed us that protecting children should matter more than pride or power. That changed minds across the galaxy. They walked through more displays. Maya saw images of alien children playing together, different species learning about each other. New schools where young ones from many worlds studied side by side. In one display, there was a photo of her. Maya standing in the hospital room holding the glowing crystal Zalthor had given her. She remembered when that picture was taken. She had felt so scared and hurt, but she'd smiled for the camera anyway. I look so small in that picture, Maya said quietly. You were small. You still are small. But you are also mighty. Zalthor knelt down to her level, like he had that first day in the hospital. Maya, in Kryn culture, we have a word, Velnara. It means someone small who changes something big. Usually we use it for heroes from our history. Warriors who turned battles, leaders who saved worlds. But now we use it for you. You are Velnara. Maya felt her cheeks get warm. I didn't do anything special. I just got hurt and tried to be brave. You forgave when you could have demanded revenge. You showed kindness when you could have shown hate. That is very special indeed. Ambassador Okonkwo found them a few minutes later. Maya, there you are. We have visitors coming. The Thex Confederation is sending their first student exchange group. They want to meet you. Me, why? Because you inspired them to start the program. They want their children to learn about other species, to make friends across the stars. You showed them why that matters. Over the next hour, Maya met with a group of young Thex students. They were nervous and excited. They asked her questions about Earth, about humans, about what had happened to her. Maya answered honestly. She told them about being scared, about being hurt, about learning to forgive, about understanding that most beings are good and the bad ones are rare. The young Thex listened carefully. One of them, a small one with purple fur, raised her hand. "Miss Maya, are the ghost soldiers real?" Maya smiled. "Yes, they're real. But they're not scary. Not if you're good. They only stop bad people who hurt others, especially children." "Have you ever seen one?" "No, they're very good at staying hidden. But I know they're there." Maya looked around the room as if searching. Maybe they're here right now watching to make sure we're all safe. The Thex children looked around nervously and excitedly, trying to spot an invisible soldier. Sarah smiled at Maya's showmanship. What none of them knew was that Maya was right. 2 Ghost Division operators were in the room at that very moment. One stood near the door, invisible and intangible. The other was positioned near the window. They had been assigned to protect Maya indefinitely. Captain Mitchell had personally selected them. He'd told them, "That girl matters. Not just to us, but to the whole galaxy. Nothing happens to her, ever, and nothing would." The ghosts made sure of it. After the students left, Maya was tired. Sarah took her back to their quarters for rest. As they walked through the station corridors, aliens of many species stopped to greet Maya. Some bowed. Others waved. All of them smiled. "You've become quite popular," Sarah observed. "It feels weird," Maya admitted. "I'm just me. You're just you. But sometimes just you is exactly what the galaxy needs." That evening, Maya did her homework, ate dinner, and got ready for bed. It was a normal evening, which made it perfect. For months after the attack, she'd been afraid of normal things, afraid of sleeping, afraid of strangers, afraid of being alone. But therapy had helped. Time had helped. And knowing she was protected had helped most of all. As she lay in bed, the Kryn crystal glowing softly on her nightstand, Maya thought about everything that had happened. She thought about pain and healing, about fear and courage, about anger and forgiveness. She thought about the ghost soldiers somewhere in the shadows, watching over her and everyone else on the station, and she thought about her parents lost in the colony accident years ago. She hoped they would be proud of who she was becoming. "Sarah," she called out. Sarah came to the doorway. "Yes, baby? When I grow up, I want to help people. Like the ghost soldiers help people. Maybe not as a soldier, but something that protects others." Sarah sat on the edge of the bed. "You're already helping people, Maya, every day. Just by being you. By being kind, by showing others how to be better. That's a different kind of protection, but it's just as important." "You think so?" "I know so." Maya smiled and closed her eyes. Within minutes, she was asleep, peaceful and safe. In the shadows of her room, invisible to normal eyes, Ghost Operative 7 watched the sleeping child. He'd been on protection duty for 6 months now. It was the easiest assignment he'd ever had and somehow the most important. His communicator buzzed silently. "Ghost 7 status report. All clear. Subject is asleep. No threats. Station secure. Copy that. Maintain position. You're doing good work. Sir, may I ask a question?" "Go ahead, 7. How long will we maintain protection on Maya Chen?" There was a pause. "Then, until she doesn't need it anymore. Or forever. Whichever comes first. That girl represents everything we fight for. Every child does. We keep them safe so they can grow up and make the galaxy better. It's not just a mission. It's our purpose. Understood, sir. Go 7 out." He returned his attention to Maya. The girl shifted in her sleep, hugging her pillow. She smiled at something in her dreams. Whatever she was dreaming about, it was good. That's all that mattered. Across the galaxy, on Earth, in the Ghost Division headquarters, Captain Mitchell reviewed his team's reports. 0 incidents.